Hello and welcome to the DrivingMaul show, where the Wallabies are in free fall, and I'm sure that will be a part of the discussion as I think we'll have, after we've reviewed the games, we'll have a look at the coaching merry-go-round that we had in the Rugby World Cup and see how all those coaches are going. Because boy, oh boy, it's a bit night and day in that old thing. And I say we because joining me this evening, I've got Cornflake. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Good to be back for another great week of World Cup action, right? Another exciting, action-packed, brilliant weekend of rugby that will not be reflected in the next 4 years of action, right? I mean, we sit here and talk about how good it is to see these teams, and then it's like, what's going to happen in the next 4 years? Absolutely nothing, and we'll do it again in 4 years' time.
It's brilliant to see some of the teams. I admit there's others you kind of like, maybe not. But yeah, no, this was. I'm going for best round so far, and looking forward to the next round. Oh my God, it's definitely better than the next round. Next round is looking a little bit desperate, I'm afraid. But we'll get onto that towards the end of the show. Portugal, the team of the tournament so far, says the reviewer.
100%.
I hope Portugal gets the first win against Australia, says Simon Hughes. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves on that one, but yes, probably yes. Probably the most entertaining game of the round had absolutely no bearing on the how this Rugby World Cup will go and who'll win it. But hey, still, that doesn't mean it can't be a good game to watch. So good evening, everyone who's joining us. Don't forget, 8 p.m. every Monday. We are here talking about rugby and obviously concentrating on the Rugby World Cup at the moment. The reviewers talking about apparently the start for the top 14. Yeah, sorry, we're not going to be talking about the top 14.
No, Storti plays. He's a Portuguese winger.
Sorry,
Storti, fantastic player.
I thought it was a typo. And I'll be still showing the faith, going Bocky. Yes, good to see. Good to see. What we'll do is we'll go through the games from the weekend, but we'll go through them in a pool-by-pool basis and see where that each pool is at. So we'll kick off with Pool A, and which also kicked off the weekend with Italy versus Uruguay. Look, coming into this tournament, I thought that Italy would basically cruise past both Uruguay and Namibia, seal themselves a automatic qualification. That's for World Cup, and it's tick, job done, move on. Come third in the pool, kind of like what their Rugby World Cups are every single time. After Uruguay's performance against France, I was thinking, could we have an upset on our hands? And at half time, boy oh boy, we were. If I've got the right game, haven't I? With Uruguay leading at halftime, 7-17. This was it was game on, wasn't it, Steve?
Yeah, that was an exciting start to the weekend, wasn't it? I was just trying to find the right starting point for my list as well. I was like, oh dear, I can't find the start of the weekend. Well, rugby's been terrible. But yeah, no, that game, recycling my memory back to last Thursday, a few days ago. Yeah, great game. Uruguay showed what they can do, right? They've shown in their early matches of the tournament that they're capable of attacking. They've got great weapons out wide. They've got a pack, and especially their back row, I think that is capable of getting turnovers, retrieving their own ball, and the basics, those basic core sort of things that they need to actually compete, they are capable of. And to be leading up by 10 points was a great performance from the Uruguayans at the break. So, really exciting first 40 minutes for them. Sadly, things didn't go quite so well as the match wore on. I think the yellow card certainly did put a bit of a squish on them, unfortunately. But in saying that, the yellow cards that Italy received certainly did help them out in their first 40 minutes. So swings and roundabouts there, but it shows that discipline is always key. No matter what level you're playing at, it is always key. But this is kind of what I meant at the start, right? It's so good seeing Uruguay competing, showing Italy up for 40 minutes and stuff like that. But I want to see it again, I want to see this match next year. I want to see it the year after. I want to see the develop and play more often. But sadly, we won't get to see that as it wears on. But yeah, great for Uruguay. Good to see them attacking. Good to see them threatening. And on the flip side, for Italy, very strong second half display. They really did turn it around. That back row stood up. They got some good effort out of their playmakers, although Gabisi showed up massively in that second 40 minutes. Monte Ioane, who was invisible in the first 40, got a lot of go-forward ball when looking for work, and they were big difference makers for the Italians. So they'll be happy with their second half, but yeah, big concerns for their first 40-minute performance. Yeah, and that man, Ardeo, brilliant player. Highlanders could do it for flanker. And a 10.
That's a new team. No, sorry, didn't. But yeah, no, that you're right. They did have two yellow cards against Italy. Did help Uruguay in that first half, but it was really that yellow card to Uruguay in the second half that where Italy got 2 tries in that 10 minutes, and that really, and then I think basically Uruguay kind of ran out of steam a bit as well. Whereas look, a lot of these Italian players, they're either playing the URC or they're playing the top 14. So whereas the Uruguayan players don't have that access to professional rugby all the time, of the same level at least. So well done to Italy for turning things around. But oh boy, Uruguay did have us all hoping for a while there for that because I did that video, or we did that video, sorry, pre-Rugby World Cup. If you go to patreon.com/Enter Sport Radio, about games that could change world rugby. This was one of them. And boy, oh boy, it nearly happened. So move on from that one then. I say, yeah, it's Pool A is going to turn into regulatory stuff. Look like in retrospect, you look at the scores, you look at the standings, it's going to be kind of fairly regulation pool. But yeah, there were a few fun things along the way that I think we'll kind of forget about with history. Next up then, France, Namibia. France nearly getting the century, 96-0. But at the end of the day, obviously France were going to get the bonus point win from this game. But the real problem, or the real thing for this game, pardon me, is Dupont's broken jaw. I mean, is there anything else about the game you want to talk about? Because I mean, basically, yeah, Namibia lost by a massive amount next, as far as the game's concerned, from my point of view. Yeah,
it was a bit like that, wasn't it? Namibia didn't. I mean, they left a lot of players out of their team as well. To be fair to them, there wasn't their best 15, if you're going to be really technical about it. But I think when you look at it and you go, France has selected this gigantically fantastic side against us. What do we do? Just go out there and save ourselves maybe for our last matchup of the round. Yeah, it was a thumping. They looked fantastic, didn't they, France? They looked brilliant. But there was pretty much next to no effort from the Namibians on defence. Players just running rampant and falling over each other. It was that much of a distraction. But yeah, Dupont out. Yeah, he's, well, last I heard, till semi-finals, which is bad because we all know the quarterfinals are where it really matters. And sad to say, it's for 2 of the big 4. It's going to be if, not when, they make it to those semi-finals. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if something happened. You know, it's the Waitaki Naholo miracle leaves for Fiji come in and save Dupont to come back here maybe a week early for that quarterfinal. But if that happens, they won't really care because he can miss the rest of the group stages, no problem. But they really do need him for that quarterfinal. Yeah, it looks like France can still do this without Dupont. I'm not so sure about that. That is going to be a very, very big game up against probably South Africa, possibly Ireland, depending on how that pool goes. That is a big game. You'd much rather have him missing the quarterfinals. Sorry, the semi-final. The semi-final, yes. France will get through. Whoever wins that quarterfinal will win the semi-final and be going to the final. So you'd rather he'd miss that than he didn't miss the quarterfinal. But so yes, that's the biggest thing from this game. Namibia now have scored 11 points, let in 219 in their 3 games, scored 1 try. Yeah, it's a dismal Rugby World Cup for them. It's pretty much scaled in stone for the old quarterfinal, though. Really, for the French, they will be playing for South Africa. Even if Scotland do the impossible and beat Ireland, it will go to matchups. So South Africa beating them, they'll go up ahead of Scotland. So not 100% confirmed, but yeah, pretty much looks very, very likely that will be the box. Yeah. So just looking at the pool, I say regulatory pool. Sure, Italy are ahead of New Zealand at the moment, but New Zealand will beat Italy this coming weekend.
Sorry, New Zealand will beat Italy this coming weekend, and they'll also beat Uruguay, and they'll sail through as second in the pool. So don't get your hopes up too much. Anybody who's thinking, oh wow, look, it's the death of New Zealand rugby. They're in third place. Yes, okay. Italy's hardest 2 games are yet to come. So there we go. LB, Namibia don't get enough resources. Absolutely, they don't. Look, I mean, South Africa has helped a little bit with them playing in the Currie Cup and that sort of things. But there's clearly a lot more work to be done to get Namibia up into the sort of places that Uruguay have managed to get themselves up to. Where Uruguay playing an Argentina 15 regularly recently, playing USA, playing Canada regularly. Who did Namibia play? Kenya. Okay, Kenya got a 7s team, but that's about it. So there. The reviewer saying already counting chickens. I see. Look, come on, in this pool, I think you can do. You can count your chickens in that one.
You know what is kind of sad about this pool before we move on from it? We talked about all the scheduling before the World Cup started, but it's not perfect, is it? And it's not, I don't think, 100% fair that a team like Namibia would have played all 4 of their games before New Zealand and Italy have played their 3rd.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. True. Yep.
So scheduling still not completely fair and perfect, is it?
No, but it's a lot better than it used to be. Simon Hughes, if Italy beat the All Blacks, will you do something? We'll come on here and talk about it. I'll be streaming it
live. So come to the stream. Let's talk. Let's party. Go Italy. That would be fantastic, wouldn't it? That would be amazing. That would be. I mean, the mix-up that it's got to be an upset somewhere. I'm looking at someone. Someone's got to do me something.
Unfortunately, I can't join you because I will be training to man a voting place for the election that's coming up. That's my election training is on that day, so I'm having to miss that game. There you go, folks. To help further democracy in this country. Scotland already played 2 games and maybe we've already finished. Yeah, exactly. Well, yes, exactly. They're not the only team. Quite a few teams have only played 2 games. Foster does have a habit of losing to new teams. Simon, that is true. But look, this is not Argentina. Let's put it that way. So moving on then to Pool B, where we had South Africa versus Ireland. Now, dearie me, how do you look at this one? Do you go and say, boy, oh boy, stolen by the ref, the ball was out? Sorry, folks. If you're leaving it to the final minute, the final seconds for a call to go your way, then seriously, you cannot be blaming the ref. I'm sorry, it's way too long when you to let it have got to that stage. Look, the referee couldn't see the ball. These things happen. He was blindsided. So let's get away from that. I think the referee had a good game. Shocks to say, but or you're going to tell me actually the referee was awful during this game, Steve?
No. I mean, I don't think any referee really has a good game in this World Cup. They've been so many shockers, so many things going wrong. It's crazy. But I mean, it was 2 Tier 1 teams, right? So at least they should have been a bit more fairer than they have been on the poor old Tier 2 nations. But no, I agree with what you said. That was going to be my point straight away as well, was that if the final act of the game is your pivotal deciding moment, but the other 79 minutes and 50 seconds weren't enough to get the job done, maybe you need to look back at what happened there. But yeah, it was a great game. I mean, I did a poll on this, and by far, this is everyone's favourite match of the Rugby World Cup so far. Not mine, but definitely up there. I thought it was a really exciting game, high quality level, high impact level, good skills, players really standing up. It just all round was a really, really good match. But both sides showed that they're not unbeatable, right? You saw a little bits of fractures and certain things on either side. So I think for other teams, mainly the New Zealand and French side, we'll look at that. And as the Irish and the South Africans did with that opening game of the World Cup, they'll be scouting each other out and they'll be looking for those weaknesses. And I think all sides definitely have weaknesses to their game, and we did see it. But it was good to see Ireland tested. To their credit, they stood up to it. What really surprised me at that game was they went to touch in their first penalty early on, which I thought if there's test match of all test matches that go for sticks, it's this one right here. And then they bombed it, and it's like, but yeah, really good, intriguing matchup. Great atmosphere, fantastic atmosphere. Ireland's been the best travelling fans in this World Cup by quite a margin, although the other nations have been fantastic as well. But Ireland just a step above. They're so fun to see from their crowd. But yeah, great, exciting game, high level of intensity. And we got to see just what those two sides made of their first big real test of the World Cup.
Now, look, Alex says Ireland nailed all their scoring opportunities and South Africa missed a lot. That was the difference. Sorry, I disagree. Ireland missed out on a lot of tries early in that game where they weren't clinical. They had that they had knock on. As you say, they kicked the corner, messed up the line out. There's a bunch of opportunities left out there by Ireland as well. Ireland did not score all of their opportunities by any stretch. They didn't miss any kicks at goal. I agree, and South Africa missed a lot of kicks at goal, 4 in that second half. We got the missed drop goal actually by Ireland. So Ireland did miss a kick at goal. But yeah, Ireland's kicking was a team that South Africa's kicking did lose in the game, absolutely. Mm-hmm. But Ireland did also miss out on point. Did also leave points out there as well. Ireland, as you say, Ireland's set piece, losing 2 scrums, losing 6 lineouts. They had no
first half lineout.
Jeez, what was going on?
Yeah.
The game was standard above classic test. Yeah, look, really good game rugby. Not one to go down in the ages, as some of the Irish correspondents will tell you, that this is one we'll be going back to watch for years to come. No, it wasn't that good. It was a good game of rugby, but it was not that good. And I think someone else like it blew the World Cup wide open. What? I'm sorry, but no, this did not blow the World Cup wide open. This was as predicted, a close game won by the best team in the world. I mean, I don't see how that blows the thing wide open. In
the build-up to this game, there was all the talk about it too. It's like, obviously, who are you going to face, New Zealand or France, right? And of course, the Dupont injury was, 2 days before or 3 days before? And the actual fact about it, now that France is topping Pool A, it's kind of like, would you favour actually playing France now over the All Blacks? Whereas before, you'd probably go, maybe I prefer the All Blacks over France. It is a 50-50, but the whole point of getting the win is, it's like a one-off test match, really. It really is. It's a good test match. It was a high-quality test match. It was an intensely close and tight and a very good match, but it had very little repercussions, aside from maybe the fact that it put in a little extra nail or two in the coffin of Scotland, who only played one game and already they've pretty much been booted out just based on the fact of the team that they've lost to and the team that Ireland beat the team they lost to. So it's odd. Unfortunate how it works, but for Scotland, they've got to do, again, like the impossible, really, to get this job done.
Yeah, look, Elvis says, you could say Box missed out too. We usually score off more, missed throw the field 5 million line out too. No, absolutely. So both sides left points out there. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't that Ireland nailed all of theirs and South Africa missed theirs. It was both sides missed points out there. It's just that South Africa missed their kicks. Evan Etzebeth, fantastic player. But James Lowe, and that tackle on Evan Etzebeth stopped him dead, lift him up to what? Whoa, that's and he wasn't picked for the All Blacks because he can't defend. Oh dear me. Anyway, so Ireland need to sort out their set piece. South Africa need to sort out their kicking goals. Otherwise, they had a good game. Both these teams tracking well, and boy oh boy, those quarterfinals against France and New Zealand are going to be absolute crackers now. And and you're right, it is looking like mission impossible for Scotland. But I think one of the things here, look, South Africa have only allowed 16 points in their 3 games so far, and they've played both Scotland and Ireland, the top 2 teams. Ireland have allowed 32 points, and that South African defence is impressive. Even though Ireland did show us the way to unlock it. The outside in defence, basically leaving the winger entirely alone out there. If you can get that looping, that pass over the top of the defender, you can find space out wide. New Zealand did that in Mount Eden via crossfield kicks, and South Africa countered that, so that next time New Zealand found it much harder to do. But now Ireland showed another way of getting that ball out there. So yes, it is interesting. It would be interesting to see how the Springboks adapt to that, because I mean, these two teams could meet again in the final. Moving on then, Scotland 45, Tonga 17. We did have John in our rugby chat group was like, "Oh, could Tonga beat Scotland?" Like, nah, sorry. This was as someone has put, Scotland would top Pool C and D. Yeah, they are the 5th best team here, or damn close to it. And look, they went forward and got a very good win. And some people were like, "Oh, will Scotland miss Hogg?" I think Kinghorn's shown that he's bloody good at that fullback position, even if he did not quite get that try under the posts and knocked it on. Yeah, 45-17, and Scotland left points out there as well. They are a very good team. 714 metres running with ball. Ouch. A hard day at the office for Tonga. Are we disappointed with Tonga, with the names that they haven't been able to gel, or am I being unfair?
Yeah, I feel a bit sorry for Tonga in this matchup, watching it this morning. I feel they weren't justly represented from the man who's in a different coloured uniform, who I won't talk about. It feels like he was wearing a blue one. A lot of very one-sided calls towards the Scots. But we talked about this morning during the matchup. I just feel the referees are getting a lot of pressure put on them to make right calls. And in these instances where you see the lesser sides, like the Tongans and the Fijians, like we saw against Wales, then they're not standing up to the pressures that is being pushed onto them by these bigger unions against the smaller unions. And I thought it was a pretty average performance this morning. There's a lot of stuff missed. I mean, a Tongan player got penalised cleaning out a ruck for tackling a guy without the ball. Tonga had the possession, and they were cleaning out a ruck. I think it's just stupid stuff like that. Like, how do you get that for cleaning a guy out of a ruck? It's just silly stuff. Little things like that, being in touch when the ball's back in play. A lot of silly stuff like that. I think so. Look, Tonga was a bit hard done by. They do play very, very well, and I think they're getting a bit better. Piatel linking up very well with Solomone Kata during the match this morning. We saw a lot more better stuff from the forwards. A massive performance again from Ben Tamiafuna. He's immense, that guy. Played near on 17 minutes for a guy that gets through so much work and such a big part of their game. I think they improved. If you look at them, 2 weeks for the World Cup and then starting and then to now, definitely they are better. And this game did blow out at the end for Scotland massively. But yeah, better from Tonga. Scotland, didn't have too much worry, but I think their worries are a bit bigger than just breezing past Tonga in this round. They've got a lot more to work on. But yeah, they look all right. Finn Russell played 80 minutes, which surprised me. And the outside backs looked as dangerous as ever. Van der Merwe pretty much dragged half the Tongan team behind him on a couple of runs, just hanging off limbs. Very strong, very quick. Yeah, Kinghorn, that try scored, man. He was on skates. He flew so much faster than everyone else. So yeah, they have game breakers. They have the abilities. So they've just got to put it all together for the really top class game and the big matchups they've got coming up.
Well, match up, one more game left, and that's against 2 games left. Sorry, obviously they'll cruise past Romania, who so far have allowed in 158 points in their 2 games. The only question is, can they get higher than 82 scored by Ireland, 76 by South Africa. I'm looking at a 70-odd point win in that one for Scotland. But so this one is. Tonga never had a chance against a Scotland team of that quality. Tonga weren't performing in the. Oops, I got the wrong pull up. Sorry, folks. Weren't performing pre Rugby World Cup. I think it's what we expected. Still, I think of all the names there was a bit more, I think, expected of them, just from on paper. But look, this Pool B, heading in the direction that everyone that people kind of expected. There was that question mark: could Scotland beat out South Africa to that second place, or even Ireland? But then again, South Africa, when they turned up against New Zealand pre-Rugby World Cup, we all saw that this was actually, it was going to be a step too far for them. When we saw South Africa at Mount Eden, not Mount Eden, at Mount Smart Stadium, we thought, oh, there is a possibility. That was early in their development, and South Africa are much further along now than that. So cruising along nicely, top two going through as we kind of expected. Moving into the interesting pool then. Or Pool C, where we had Georgia taking on Portugal in what some people would say is the best game of the Rugby World Cup so far. 18 all.
100%.
Two teams that actually want to play rugby. A Portugal team that has been made up, especially from bringing players through their sevens, which is what New Zealand used to do. Players like Lomu, Cullen, they all played sevens before going on to 15s. Is this the way forward? Are Portugal showing the way forward for the top tier teams as to how to bring their players through, Steve?
Well, they're showing how they're going to do it, and that's all that really matters. Who cares about anyone else? I mean, if Portugal keep developing like this, then get me involved. I want to watch them every weekend. They're fun, man. They are so much fun to watch. And again, like I said last week, they're so fearless in the way they play. What surprised me most about this game, though, was that Georgia turned up and fired the first punch, saying, you want to play fun and exciting in your backline? Well, don't think that we can't do that too. And their first try was a brilliant little play down the right wing to score in a couple of minutes' time. And it's just like, okay, Georgia, rolling maul, where's that gone? You know, they just pulled this big flash backline play out of nowhere and stunned the start of the game. So, really great performance. Portugal took a while to get in. I think that put them on the back foot a little bit. They built into the game. And as they did, they took control. And it was like an old-fashioned test match between, two heavyweights of rugby, whereas like one side gets a bit of the ascendancy and the other side kind of claws it back and drags it back their way. It was a gripping watch and 100% the best game of the World Cup by far. Playing the game the right way. There was no negativity. They were throwing it around. They were giving it everything they had, positively going forward. Just everything you kind of want to see in a game. If I was going to show a new person the game of rugby, I'll give them this tape of this and say, go watch this. This is what you want the game to look like. This is how you want it to be played. Yes, there was mistakes, there was errors. Okay, there's going to be. Yes, they're not, players on $1 million a season. These guys are still, half of them are amateur even and trying to break through. They're not on the big deals. And ones that are on professional deals don't even play regularly enough. So to do this sort of level at this sort of cauldron of atmosphere they're at as well. Some great, again, Portuguese support there was just top class. A fantastic game. If you missed every game of the World Cup, but you want to watch one, watch this one. If you've not seen it full, watch this game. And 2 chances to win it after 80 minutes, and they both cooked it. It felt unfair that someone had to lose, right? But it also felt unfair that neither team won. Because I'm both so disappointed. And it's like, oh, well, we could have had at least half of them happy. But it was just, a draw kind of seemed fitting in the end. But what a fantastic team. Confidence up, and they're so young. They've got Storty, the big man, Marta on the wing as well. And their fly half, whose name I'm going to find out, remember, Portela, so young. In their low 20s. They're going to be around for a long time. They're fun, exciting, they're skilled. And they've got this experience, and that's going to be priceless for their careers.
And LB says, this is the one game we missed this round.
LB watched it 3 times.
Oh, dear. The reviewer says Portugal can beat Australia and Fiji. Now, look, don't get too far ahead of yourself on this one. I'm not sure about that. Remember, Australia did beat Georgia 35-15 in the opening round of the Rugby World Cup. So, look, so let's go too far ahead of ourselves as to where they're at. Enjoy the rugby they're playing, absolutely. But are they tier one beaters or no? I don't think they are as yet. Now, I'd probably said the same about Japan a couple of World Cups ago as well. You never know.
But the thing is with this pool though, and what these teams can do is they don't need to win, but they can deny points and bonus points. Yes. So you beat Portugal, like Wales only beaten them by 20 points. if they just managed to deny that bonus point, although irrelevant now, a week later, but if they denied that, that could have had huge repercussions for the later on part of the tournament. They could deny bonus points against Australia or Fiji. That could, how close this is, especially for those two teams, have a massive outcome for them. Or, they only beat them by 6 points or 12, 15 points, They need to go out there, especially the Wallabies, right? They need to hope for a miracle, but even Fiji, to make sure of things, they need to go out and they need to beat these guys by 30, 40, 50 points. And they'll know that. And that'll give them confidence to go out and know, we can really be the banana skin. We're not going to get a quarterfinal, sure, but we can ruin your day. And that's as good as a win for us.
And and George should do the same with Fiji as well. I mean, look, we'll see how. Yes. So look, these two teams, as you say, are still relevant in this pool, even if they're not going to get out of it. Whereas Wales have got themselves have already qualified out the pool. They will be extremely happy with their Rugby World Cup, and we'll talk about that more later. Quick question from Jeff though: do the Super Rugby refs enforce enough of the laws? Both New Zealand and Oz players look baffled at what they're being penalised for. Maybe the refs are doing disservice in not refereeing them hard. Look, I think all players from all nations are looking a bit baffled at the moment. I don't think this is unique to them by any stretch. Look, rugby is just too hard to referee at the moment. The laws are too complex. There's too many of them. There's something going wrong. Or there's something to blow at every single breakdown. It's an impossible game to referee. And that's where World Rugby needs to sort things out, is to simplify the laws, put simply. On that one, Simon Hughes, do you think Australia will get rid of one of the five Super Rugby franchises? Look, that's a post Rugby World Cup question, not for one right here and now. But
that's been caused from the backlash from today's result. There's a lot of talk about that through the Australian media about that they should only have 3 teams. They don't have the quality. I mean, personally, Simon, no. I mean, that's dumb. That's dumb. Keep it 5. Bring the Huggliders back. Bring the Sunwolves back. Get the Cook Islands in. Get the Americans in. Get everyone in. Everyone in Super Rugby. Just have a big global smorgasbord of rugby. It'd be fantastic. Go to America for a weekend and have a super round in Las Vegas. That's what we need.
No, because that's exactly what NRL's doing.
Yeah. Oh, no, that was my idea first, though.
They stole it off you. So, Wales, Australia then. 40-6, the biggest win for Wales over Australia ever. This is the largest loss for Australia at a Rugby World Cup. So when I was asked by John again, could Wales beat Australia? I said possibly. I didn't see this coming, especially with losing Dan Biggar to injury so early on as well. Steve, Gareth Anscombe, someone who JK decided wasn't good enough to play for the Blues, went down to the Chiefs, won two Super Rugby championships, and has gone over to Wales to become Welsh international. JK. Oh dear, Kerwin, you're not a head coach. Sorry, for a guy who's been out basically since the last Rugby World Cup with injury, because he injured himself just before the last Rugby World Cup, been out of rugby for pretty much 4 years, comes back and puts in that kind of performance. Boy, oh boy. I didn't see this coming from Wales.
Not that scoreline, but it's weird, isn't it, when you speak about Anscombe, and this is kind of the weekend of rejected Blues and Chiefs Super Rugby players coming to the fore, isn't it? Gibson Park, Arkey, James Lowe. Now you've got Anscombe.
Hang on, James Lowe's a Chiefs player.
Yeah, so I said rejected Chiefs and Blues players.
Oh, Chiefs and Blues. Okay, sorry.
Yes, because Arkey, obviously, Gibson Park from the Blues. Yeah, so crazy game. I was a bit concerned when Biggar went off, because at that point it was still a close sort of matchup. But I think the Wallabies, through their desperation of trying to keep in the game, there was one point I think was a bit of a turning point in this match when it was 10-6 and they had a penalty pretty much on the 22, just to the side of the sticks. Chose to go to the corner. No one jumped at the line out. They lost it. Jack Morgan picked up the back, smacked it from his own 22 into the Wallabies 22, 50-22. They had a line out. They were on the attack. Massive turnaround. From going up, you could have hit the post, hit the kick, gone 10-9, back to halfway. You're about at a point. 2 minutes later, they were down by 10 points. You know, I think that was a massive, massive turning point for that game. Jack Morgan had a fantastic match. His break at the start, where he cut that little line back on the inside. Great speed shoulder from back rower. He was bloodied and bruised. He had all sorts of sticks and all sorts up his nose to stop it bleeding, cuts and bruises. Yeah, just really good from Wales. Australia just offered very, very little. The magic medicine of Ben Donaldson at 10 was poison, it turns out. There was no way through there. They just looked clueless, as in they had no direction in their attack. They'll throw to the experienced guys like Karevi, who would just go to contact and recycle the ball. And then, okay, well, Karevi's not there for the next phase. Who do we throw it to now? Callaway wasn't his usual pop-up in the right places on attack. In defence, he saved them a number of times. But overall, they just looked a bit lost and a bit clueless. And then their key players, I think, feeling the pressure of the occasion. And their experienced players aren't really that experienced, are they? They've been around for a while, but they're piling on all that pressure to themselves. All the talk and the rumours going around about their fantastic coach, right? And that's just all compounded now to a must-win game, high pressure, big crowd against you as well. It felt like they might as well have been playing in Wales. And it's just kind of all fallen apart. And Wales took control. The more pressure they put on, the worse it got for the Wallabies. And I kind of like the fact that Wales just kept kicking. So instead of going for the tries and the bonus point, which they didn't get, they just kept kicking. And they just kept going threes, 3 more. And the lead just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's what they did against Fiji as well.
What they did was they realized this was a pressure game. And so
exactly,
you apply scoreboard pressure. You get ahead. You just keep inching yourself ahead. That means you can give away as many penalties as you feel like once you're like 9 points ahead, because the opposition can't kick threes. They're going to have to go for sevens.
Yes.
And in this one, Anscombe kicked 6 penalties and a drop goal in this one. Plus, if this wasn't a game built on tries and flashy rugby, but no, this was Wales understanding what the game was, with Australia not understanding what the game was. This was a pressure game, and that you keep applying pressure. When you get the ability to release pressure with those, if you can, just kick it long, play in the right part of the pitch. If they give you a penalty, knock over the 3 and just keep racking that score up. So with a 40-point win, you're like, oh, what's that, 6-7 tries? No, it's just 3 tries and a lot of penalties, which Wales, very clever. And for a team that coming into this Rugby World Cup, we were like, oh, will they make it out of their pool? To have made it out of the pool, qualified with a game to spare, boy, oh boy. Look what they were like against South Africa in their last game ahead of this. Everyone's like, my God, this Warren Gatland guy is not very good. Bang. When it comes to the actual games that matter, suddenly he's a miracle worker. And has managed this team. Look, there's been luck involved as well. It's not all. He's not just some master chess player. But he's got the work done. He's got them in the right positions, so that when the luck does happen, they're there to take advantage of it. Whereas Eddie Jones picking a player in his squad who had never played international rugby before, and then gets injured in training and he has to be replaced. I'm sorry, but how can you have someone who has never played international rugby before be coming into this tournament injured, and you think he's a must pick for the squad? Yeah, some real weird selections from Eddie Jones. And whilst Warren Gatland did get rid of, or they retired from international rugby in Justin Tipperick and Alwyn Jones, clearly he told them that they weren't part of the plans. He hasn't gone. He still has got experienced players there in the right places, whereas the experience that Eddie Jones has cut has meant he's got no experience left. I mean, you Michael Hoopers, your Quade Coopers of this world, who are the only players in those positions with any experience, whereas your Tippericks, your Alwyn Jones, there are other players with some experience there you can actually replace. It's a real, because they faced each other, because it was this kind of game. It's one of those ones where two coaches replaced at the same sort of time, it just it shows you what could have been maybe for Australia if Eddie Jones had taken a slightly different route.
And after the game, too, it was interesting to see the comments from a guy that's quite forgotten in the name of Bernard Foley, who was playing for Australia A 2 weeks before the World Cup started. Just another man in that number 10 jumper that you're like, well, probably he should have been in the mix as well. A good experience, a very collected character out in the field as well. But if you want to see putting the boots in, although a very composed pre-match and a very composed half-time from Sonny Bill Williams that was waiting to see how this match went off. And he went off after the game. So if you haven't seen that, go check out Sonny Bill Williams, who magically disappeared post-match after making some comments about the Wallabies and the leadership from their coach after the match up. And then after cutting back to the studio, Sonny Bill was nowhere to be found for the rest of that night. So what's that story? Interesting. But, I mean, he wasn't wrong. And, I mean, for a guy like Sonny Bill, he doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the position. He doesn't need any of that, And he's come out and he said what he thought. And I say good on him. He's unleashed. And the rest of them, who are all, old boys for the Rugby Australia, they didn't like it, man. Yeah, their faces squished up like squash pies. They were very, very upset with what Sonny Bill said. And, so see if Sonny Bill's commentating next time the Wallabies are in action, because it would surprise me if he's not.
Yeah, and I was a bit surprised. I thought Sonny Williams was an All Black, because there he is in halftime going, wear this, wear that, as those a Wallaby player, which I thought was kind of playing. This guy, okay, you're Australian, are we? Okay, that's it. Okay, I see that. So that's
Did you hear him at the start of the match? He called himself what do you call it? Aussie Bill Williams. He called himself. And I was like, oh, Sonny, give it up. But then he redeemed himself at the end, where he actually showed a lot of passion. Sure, it's not his country in that, but you can see.
Oh no! Look, I'm saying, he clearly, as you say, no, it is his team, it is his country. He is supporting them. Oh, yeah. He's not doing that for TV. No.
But I give him stick. I give him stick because he gets players' names right. He puts them in the wrong positions. He talks a lot of wobble, and he is kind of the guy that you kind of have a laugh at. But he knows the inner workings more than any of those other guys there. He's seen it on so many more occasions. Okay, Michael Hooper might put him up with a bit of competition for that sort of thing, but he knows, and I think it's struck a bit of a chord for him. And what he said there rung true more than I'd believe from any media outlet. Sitting in a little room up the top, just watching this from afar. Sonny Bill knows what's going on there, and I thought his words were pretty telling.
Somebody who's Australia's doing a long game for 2027. Be interested to see how Eddie Jones stays in his contract. I'm sorry, but no, there's ways of doing long games. Doing this in such a big shop window when you're trying to host and trying to grow your game at home. This is not how you go about blooding players. There'll be a lot of these players will be damaged psychologically from this and being part of this. Unfortunately, LB Hooper defended Eddie Jones, though, so it might not be him. That's the problem. Look, he most definitely is not the whole problem by a long shot. Right, the whole of the Australian structure is a problem. We know that. That financially they've got a problem. That the pathways for their players are a problem. That there isn't an NPC. I mean, what do their non-internationals do? What are the non-internationals doing now? They play Super Rugby for 5 months of the year and then take 7 months off, or play club rugby, which is a massive step down. So look, there's a whole bunch of problems with the Australian system. Don't get me wrong, so yes, it's not all Eddie Jones's fault by any stretch of the imagination.
What's happened to the NRC?
Well, that lasted about 3 seasons. Then got
squashed.
It cost too much. Hasn't been for hasn't been there for a few years.
Shows how much I follow Australian domestic rugby, right?
Basically collapsed. Obviously, one of your COVID casualties, right? Never got started back up again.
Oh, true, of course. Hey, just on what LB said about Sonny Bill Williams, right? It's brave, and I believe what he says, because he doesn't give a crap. He doesn't give a crap about the Aussie rugby bosses. He doesn't need to. He doesn't need the job. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the exposure. It's Sonny Bill Williams. He does what he wants. He's an enigma, right? He's not like the brown noses that sit there in that studio that just say what Rugby Australia wants to be said. And I mean, the same's in every union, right? The media guys mostly just say what they want to say or the direction that wants to be led from the union. So that's what I like about what Sonny Bill said, because we might not see him there again. But and that just shows more that he's actually, speaking on his own tongue.
Okay, I didn't say it. I don't know what he said.
Watch it.
Sorry?
Watch it. It's quite entertaining.
I will do, but at times I thought, look, he doesn't know his job and he's being too matey. Look, he's having a chat with his mate rather than actually giving us a post-match interview and presentation and stuff. And so, but yeah, as you say, he's not in it for the he enjoys doing it. Clearly, the money's he's not going to say no. He's not going to be doing it for free, but
yes.
But he has other ways of other incomes as well. So where does that leave things? Well, that leaves things with whilst it looks like Fiji and Australia are in a similar situation, Fiji got 2 games to come against Georgia and Portugal. They're easier games. Australia, just the one. Now, I know that someone higher up said that Portugal or Georgia could beat Fiji. They could, but it's really that look, I think the gap is too big, and Fiji should be seeing themselves in the quarterfinals. Australia are lucky that Georgia are not the team they were at the England Rugby World Cup, sort of 2 Rugby World Cups ago, because they and that's allowed them to come third in this pool and not end up lower than that. In all honesty, they could have ended up below Georgia, and that, boy oh boy, that would have been a big problem for Australia, not qualifying for the next Rugby World Cup automatically. Now, clearly, they would qualify through the qualification process, but it's something that they shouldn't be doing.
Hosts too.
Sorry,
they're hosts as well.
Oh yeah, sorry. They're getting automatically through hosts. That's right.
Yes.
They would be the first. They would be the first hosts to not automatically qualify for Rugby World Cup, because even Japan did. So this is the first time Australia have. Well, look, counting chickens here, Australia still can qualify if Fiji slip up. But this probably will be the first time Australia don't make it to the quarterfinals of a Rugby World Cup, and this is really, really bad for New Zealand rugby, folks. All right, for New Zealand rugby now, as we don't play South Africa, we don't with our domestic competition, we don't play Japan, we don't play Argentina, we just play Australia and Fiji. We need Australia to be strong for New Zealand rugby to be strong in the longer term. Finally, then into Pool D, where England, which I'll make sure I get the games in the right order, really, for this one. So first up, we have Argentina versus Samoa. Now, I thought this was an opportunity for Samoa to upset the apple cart and turn over Argentina, because I thought that Argentina stewing for 2 weeks on that loss could be a problem for them. But no, Michael Cheika has done the biz. A perfect day at the office as far as set piece went. And when you get that kind of platform and the opposition misses 35 tackles, you should be winning by more than 9 points, put bluntly. Actually, this is not Wales will be looking at this game and going, wow, we're into the semis. This is fantastic. People were talking about us getting knocked out in the not making out of the group. We could be coming third in the Rugby World Cup. My God. I don't think there was anything here that would scare either Fiji or Wales come quarterfinal time.
Boy, man, I tell you, Argentina are they're the disappointing child of world rugby right now, aren't they? Goodness gracious me. Everything they do, such promise, such hope, right? Going into the World Cup of what they could achieve. You know, they beat the Wallabies in Australia, which doesn't seem like much of an achievement now, but, you know, at the time, that was a pretty good effort. But, yeah, both sides were pretty average. They really were pretty average. Argentina had the better of the game, but they just spilled so much ball. It did rain for most of the first half, which I guess, you know, affects the handling of the matchup, but still so wasteful, so irritating.
They were leading 13-3 at halftime, and they lost the second half.
That's what I mean. It was disappointing all round. Every way you look at it, it was just average and poor. And, you know, you go from a high of watching Portugal and Argentina, Portugal and Georgia with such high quality skill and exciting play, and you go to this, and it's like it was near on unwatchable. Argentina are in a bad spot. I thought after 2 weeks stewing over that England result, with red card early, 14 men for the rest of the game, what a position to be in. Makes it easier, right, to knock off that top team, and they just put in a dire display. They've done it again 2 weeks later, and okay, they got the win. Good enough. Emiliano Boffelli had a good game, and he kicked decently. He scored a opportunistic sort of try, good little cutback play, and reached his way over. But aside from that, Sanchez come back. I'm looking for positives. That's about it. Malolo's a fantastic hooker for Samoa, but gee, there's not much positives to come out of this for either side.
No, so we'll move on because we're running late. But yeah, not Argentina's wins are hardly ever big scores. Yeah, maybe so, but they're also. But look, there's more to it than just not being a big score in this one, really. But they should have. I mean, if you've got yourself 10 points up, 13-10 at half time, to have it 16-10 with it in the balance. This was only won by a penalty at the death that stopped Samoa getting that losing bonus point, which is why they took it. Look, this was not good for them.
And a very early yellow card for Paiawa as well, off the kickoff, literally.
Well, if that wasn't even more than
it. Yeah,
God lucky there. Taking a player out anyway. Moving on. England versus Chile, 71-0. Oh, boy, world beaters, this England team. 20 minutes to score a point. For crying out loud. You've won by this. It's a quarter of the game that Chile didn't allow England to score. And the main thing from this game I found was that could Henry Arundel become top try scorer of the tournament from one game? He's top try scorer currently with 5. Yes, that was. But look, again, it's Borthwick's got what he needed. 3 wins out of 3 games. More than happy with that. Are the performance world beating? No. Are either of these teams going to particularly? Are England going to be particularly worrying for Wales or Fiji? No, they're both going to think they've got a good chance. Now, they're not. I don't think they're going to see England as the pushover or as the kind of easy win that your Samoa, Argentina, or Japan might be. But even so, I think England. They weren't particularly scared of this. England could make it out the quarterfinals, but it's a flip of a coin at best against a. Who will it be out of against the Fiji? Boy, oh boy, that's not looking good.
What was most surprising about this game is like Arundel should be suspended, internally suspended, because clearly it's against the England game plan for a back to run with ball in hand and not just kick it. I mean, it's clear that's why Elliot Daly's consistently on the wing, because if it does venture out that far, like of all shocks, he just kicks it away, and it's catastrophe averted. So I don't know who let him loose on that, but boy, oh boy, I'm sure there'll be some trouble when he gets back in camp. Internal, he'll be sent home, back on the train, lad. Where you go, back to England. Go back to training.
So England go 14 points there. I mean, same as Wales, but they've not actually. But because of the way that things have gone in Wales, the way that their pool has gone, Wales have automatically qualified. England haven't automatically qualified yet. But hey, with just one game to go, they should make it out of the group for this one. And then between Samoa, Japan, and Argentina, boy oh boy, it's looking very close there. Except Japan. And look, they've got Samoa and Argentina to come. They got the hardest 2 games out of that. Samoa still have got to play Japan and then England. Argentina will get that comfortable win over Chile, and then they've got Japan, who they should win. So Argentina still should progress from this group, but yeah, it's all to play for amongst those 3 teams. boy, oh boy, I'm breathing a massive sigh of relief as an England fan, because coming into this tournament, I was not very comfortable at all. But this pool has nicely worked out for us there, and we will get out of the pool with just the game against Samoa to come. But boy, oh boy, not the most inspiring of pools. Let's be blunt about this.
It's crazy, isn't it? How Argentina could finish fourth. It's entirely possible. And then you'll have your wish, won't you? How do they qualify? They're in trouble. All three of those sides that are gunning for it have been really average. And the sad part about it is Japan have looked probably the least of average as to what we expected. They're kind of as we expected, if that makes sense. Whereas Samoa, I think we kind of expected more. Argentina, I certainly expected 300% more than what they're playing. Like, Japan's kind of middling. It's like, okay, they're doing kind of, they showed up a little bit against England. They did bits and pieces. They're not horrible, but they're not fantastic. But Samoa, again, Matai Tonga, the names are there. They're a little bit more gel, but they're not firing at all. And Argentina, we won't even go down that road. It wouldn't surprise me. Who's going to go? I mean, throw a dart at any three of those teams. Could be anyone. No bonus point either for Argentina.
Absolutely any order at all. England should top the group. Chile will come last. And the other three,
including them. Yeah.
It's guesswork.
Hey, Chile could be a surprise. Again, Chile denying bonus points. That's their job. And I think they're not a bad team. They're a fun enough team. Again, they're a bit like the Georgia and the Portugal teams of earlier. They can. I mean, and the way Argentina have played, I wouldn't put it past them. They played pretty well against England for that 21st 20 and last 20. So if they can put together a decent performance, they will trouble Argentina. As much as it fears me to say that.
All those disappointing sides have appalling handling. We can't build any pattern. Well, yes, handling, if you can't hold on to the ball, it's going to be a problem, isn't it? With that one, LB says, I need to talk about Chilean coach went off at World Rugby. I didn't hear this one. Please enlighten me, Steve.
I just saw patches of it. Pretty much an article about it, just going off about the opportunities and stuff for World Rugby. But I didn't see the whole thing. But he did go off, tried to make a bit of a statement, but they won't care. They're not going to listen to him. He's probably gone to the biggest world stage he could, the biggest platform. He's probably waited and planned this moment. But good luck to him, that's what I say. But I didn't hear the whole thing. But he did make a
opportunities. Totally agree. He's right. Yeah, they don't get opportunities they need. Totally.
Yep.
So let's look forward quickly to. Before we do that, so three head coaches. I think sort of changed. When did Cheika join Argentina? I'm trying to think when that was. Maybe he had a bit longer. It feels like, but we had a coaching merry-go-round head of this one. Steve Borthwick to England with replacing Eddie Jones. Look, heading into this tournament wasn't particularly good, but boy, oh boy, I think they'll be happy with the results, if not the performances. That he's there, and I think he's comfortable for his 5-year contract. They'll be happy with that one. You look at Warren Gatland brought in to replace Pivac, running into the Rugby World Cup, really unsure as to what he was trying to achieve, but look at how he's got here. 3 wins, be very happy with that. Now he hasn't inked another 4 years, but I think they'll be offering it to him pretty damn quick, having seen the turnaround there. Because I say getting into that quarterfinals and potentially into a third, fourth playoff, that was not what we were expecting a month ago. let's be blunt. And you've got Eddie Jones in Australia. Boy, oh boy. The other two have come in and delivered, you've got to say, with results at least, but he hasn't. And it's been a disaster for Australia. He's taken a different approach. If you can, in that, as you say, he's said, right, I'm writing off this Rugby World Cup. I'm going for the whole smash and grab thing that he was talking about. Clearly went out the window pretty quickly, and he was considering 2027. Borthwick and Gatland, look, they've got players in there like Farrell, like Bigger, who like Anscombe, who will not be around next Rugby World Cup. They've gone for, we've got to try and do what we can here, and we'll start rebuilding in January, right? They're not start or whenever it is. And I think that was the right approach. Eddie Jones has started rebuilding already, and you're like, bloody hell, mate, no. And the rumors are that Eddie Jones has been interviewing for the Japan head coach role as well. So, boy, oh boy. Any thoughts you want to have about that sort of merry-go-round? I've sort of a kind of quick summary of.
Simon is right. Chica did join last year, March 2022. He joined up with Argentina. But yeah, I mean, the other two have done what a sensible person would do, right? They've just kind of continued on as best they could, put their own style onto the team, made a couple of adjustments, sort of personnel-wise. But the way Eddie's got about things is, it's not like he's kind of come in and made wholesale changes and stuck with them either. He's come and he's made a wholesale changes, and then he's made more wholesale changes. Then he's ditched those and made more. So, if we looked at the start of the Rugby Championship and then the start of the World Cup, although difference of only a couple of months, 2-3 months, but drastically different squads, right? The build-up and the way that team is made up is just incredibly bizarre. Quade
Cooper was in every single match day 23 before the Rugby World Cup.
Championship, yep.
And also the Bledisloe Cup up until and he then didn't go. Like, what a waste of a position on. Look, whether you take Quade Cooper or not, I'm not saying he has to go, but you have to have somebody. If you're going to pick somebody and use the jersey, then you keep picking them.
If Ben Donaldson was this guy, have him through all that game time. Have him all the way through. Whoever your guy is. That have him through and get him an experience. There was no benefit to having Quade Cooper there at all. He's learned the game style. He's learned how they play. For what? just to get shipped off. It is crazy. But do tune into his post-match interview after the match this morning about his questions on Japan. He got asked a number of times about whether he attended that meeting, and he said, "I don't know what you're talking about, mate." And then he said that 3 times. And then he got asked if he's committed to staying with the Wallabies until the 2027 World Cup when his contract runs out. And he said, I'm the coach of the Wallabies, mate. And he said that 3 times when pressed 3 times about his situation. And then the media asked the hooker Poreki what his thoughts were about Eddie Jones, allegedly talking about this job, and how it's affected the team. Poreki answered it and said, no one really knows about it. We just tried. Yeah, he did the PR answer, right? And then Eddie Jones comes out and goes, I find this very condescending, this line of talking, and I'd appreciate if it no more talks about it, or else I'm out, mate. I'm gone. It's like, you keep that up, I'm gone. It's up to you. It's up to you. What's the next question? And that killed it flat. But I mean, geez, he didn't answer it. He didn't deny it. He didn't admit to it. But it certainly doesn't look good, right?
Look, the easy one would have been, no, I didn't turn up I didn't go to the meeting. If you didn't go, just say that. If you I don't know what you're talking about, mate. It's just, it's trying to
non-committal.
Avoid. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very cool.
So by not saying no, you're saying yes, effectively.
So let's quickly look forward then to next weekend. I'll be honest, I don't see it as being the most enthralling round of games. But you'll probably tell me off for that. But Uruguay, Namibia. Look, Namibia's shown me nothing to suggest that's me anything other than a comfortable Uruguay win. To be honest with you, your thoughts, Ed? Yep.
It should be the best game, best chance for Namibia, right? They'll go out and
of course,
obviously throw their kitchen sink at this one. I'm intrigued to see Uruguay as the favoured team. They come into all their matches as the underdog, as the put down team. They're not going to win. They're going to get smashed. They've surprised everyone, but now they're kind of they've played well. They've got expectation. How do they respond to that? They've got to come out, and people are expecting they should win this game by 20, 30 points comfortably. Can they deal with that expectation? Game
of the round: Japan versus Samoa. That's an important one. And that should be a cracker there. Look, let's just hope both teams can hold on to the ball. Actually play their rugby, because these two, if they get going, it'll be a cracker.
Yeah, I don't know how much of a cracker it will be though, because they've both been pretty average in the build-up, right?
No.
So hopefully, I mean, if they do, yeah, it could be an exciting game. I kind of, yeah, I feel like Japan sort their stuff. I think Japan's got less to sort out than Samoa in a weird sort of way. I think that Japan are closer to playing at a better level than Samoa, if that makes any sort of sense.
That'll be interesting. New Zealand will beat Italy. It's going to be a comfortable win, folks. Look, it's
full strength though.
Sorry?
I expect the All Blacks to go all out here. Top 15.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yep.
Do not risk anything for this game. Also, it means your players, you get your first team out, you give them a run around, you rest a few players against Uruguay, and then you go back into the full team for the quarterfinals. Keep those guys match fit. People were saying, look, why was DuPont playing that game? Because he can't play a game, take 4 weeks off, and play again for the quarterfinals. He's got to get game time. So yes, it's going to be a full blown side against Italy. Argentina, Chile. Look, Argentina should win that one comfortably. The question is, can they actually get the mojo and win it properly comfortably, or will they squeak that bonus point? Basically,
it's either bobble their way around. Hopefully they turn up. Hopefully they get a wake up call. Right, they need this to. Oh, they're just going to bobble their way to nothing.
Fiji will beat Georgia. I've not seen enough out of Georgia to trouble Fiji, and that'll be another nail in the Wallabies' coffin. Scotland will get a big win over Romania. I've not seen anything out of Romania to suggest anything otherwise. What are they currently? I say that minus 150 points. 158 points in 2 games. This is going to be another 70-pointer. Australia playing Portugal. Kind of interesting just to see how they bounce back, how they cope with the massive amounts of negativity that's going on at the moment, knowing that they are the worst Wallabies team to ever go to a Rugby World Cup. The Portugal, with absolutely nothing to lose, will just throw the kitchen sink at it, throw the ball around, have fun, see how far they can go. But look, Australia should win that one comfortably. And then South Africa should continue their progression to the quarterfinals by beating Tonga, who again have not shown us anything to suggest they're going to trouble a team like South Africa at all. So the only game of the round that I see being close or being questionable as to what the result's going to be is that Samoa-Japan game. All the rest, I think we can see have got massive favourites in this round. So not much jeopardy in this one, folks, from my point of view. But tell me why people should be getting excited for this round of rugby.
Yeah, you're right. Japan Samoa is one to watch, right? That's the game that's going to have the bearings on it. But I mean, the good thing about the pool stages and seeing the teams, like I say every week, that you don't see every week yourself. I'm excited to see Uruguay and Namibia. Like I said at the build-up just before that game, I'm excited about that one. I want to see the All Blacks against Italy because Italy's a decent quality side now. I think the back row of the Italians will give the All Blacks a bit of trouble, even if they play their best team. I think they've got very good players in that back row that are strong and powerful carriers. I think they could certainly cause some troubles there and force the All Blacks into playing a different sort of style of game. Argentina scares me because it doesn't matter who they're against. I'm just concerned about how they're playing. I'm really concerned. And I think Chile, not to be taken lightly, like most minnows in this World Cup, 20, 30, 40 minutes in this game, Argentina could be sitting on, a 10-9 lead. It could be very, very close, low scoring. Fiji, I think the size of the Fijians will certainly outweigh the Georgians and the backs. I think that's where Georgia will struggle. I think that's where Portugal will struggle against the Fijians in the next week. Not the style, not the speed, not the agility, but the power. The power of their play and the power of their carries is where it's going to struggle for them. Romania, I'm sorry, but try to keep it under 3 figures. I'm excited for Portugal. Give the Wallabies heaps. That's what I want to see. Again, like you said, throw the kitchen sink. Everything will be dished out. Portugal will leave nothing to chance. And again, they're here to win. What was amazing about their game against Georgia is that they were there to win. Even though they were written off, they were there to win. They harboured hopes for that 3rd place. And that, again, Eddie Jones is a bit of a clown right now, but in his after-match interview, he said 2 things that I thought rang very true. You don't get experience if you don't play in matches, So yes, young players have to play matches to get experience. And the other thing was that you don't go to a World Cup. They're giving him nuts for going and saying we're going to win the World Cup. Why do you show up to a World Cup if you don't harbour ambitions to win? He's like, why do we go? And I mean, I agree 100%. Why does Portugal turn up? They want to win. They want to qualify. They've got goals. They're not just there because, we made the World Cup. So I agree with those points you made. And for Portugal, they had those ambitions to automatically qualify for the next World Cup. And Tonga, try to learn teammates' names. Continue to try and learn your teammates' name. And let's see Big Ben get another try with 6 South Africans hanging off him. Will be fun. But Tonga could be exciting. But just those link ups. We need people running with Piatel. We need people defending with Fikatoa, not just them doing a lot of work by themselves and kind of breaking up the connection, which kills everything for them. So I think the Box will win that one comfortably as well. Pollard to play is the call as well. Bench starting, but apparently decisions being made. He will be in the mix for that match in the 23 somewhere. 12. He has
to play against Tonga somewhere because to get some game time ahead of in case he's needed for the quarterfinal. Well, if Pop goes down in this one with a concussion or whatever and is out for the quarterfinals, then Pollard's got to have had some rugby. You can't just.
He did play for Leicester last week.
Yeah, okay.
So he's played a little bit.
He's played a little bit of rugby with a bunch of guys who he's not playing with here, but an entire different crowd.
Match fitness.
So he needs fitness, and he also needs just the familiarity before taking a week off before the quarterfinals. Definitely needed that one. Razzie let slip that he'll play. Look, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to know he's going to play. Okay, I mean, one of the things look, I've got a lot of problems with Razzie and Neymar, but look, they are very good coaches. Don't get me wrong. But one of the things I do like that they do is they put their squad out on a Tuesday, like ages before the game, so we can all actually see what it is. We can do build up around it. We can actually create media. We can actually create a buzz. And they're like, this is what we're going to do. See if you can counter it. None of this kind of like, I'm not going to tell you to the last minute so you can't do your strategies. Oh, for crying out loud. You're in the entertainment business. Entertain us. Give us the squad. Let us create media. Let us talk about the team. Let us create stuff on social media that builds the hype for the game. Don't keep it secret until the last second. So on that point, Razzie's got it totally right. So yeah, love that bit.
Did you see the energy drink ad for the South African team that was made last week?
No, I didn't see that.
You need to check that out. Oh, check that out. It's when they were kids. And he's in there taking the tests, and Rassie's outside the classroom with the traffic lights, giving him the answers to his test. And,
yes, no, I have seen that one.
You saw that, and then he gets busted, and they're like, hold on to those, we might need them. Yeah, 2023. Yeah, the classy ad, love it.
Boy, yeah. I mean, why bother having captain nowadays? Just have the head coach captain from the sideline, and just ask. Yeah, get the referee on a radio to the head coach. Do you want to kick or not want to kick? What do you want to discuss? What should I be looking at? Just do away with captains. Who needs them?
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you. It's been fun as always, Steve. Thank you everyone who's joined us in live chat. Great to be chatting. We'll be back next Monday at 8 p.m. to talk about the May round of rugby, as Alex put it in the live chat. But to look forward to the final round of games, which is it's got a couple of cracking ones in there that will be. That could be important, particularly Ireland, Scotland. That will be important as to where as to what happens in the quarterfinals. But
and France to throw the game against Italy to knock out the All Blacks.
Ooh, that would be amazing if they did that. We'll have to look at the points situation at the time and see whether they could whether that could be on. Anyway, do they have to lose with a bonus point? As well as the other one. Anyway, thank you everybody. Stay safe. Enjoy the rugby this weekend, and thanks, Steve.